Welcome back to another video on our road to E3 2019. This time on fmgamerj, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. It's an open world RPG type of game set in a futuristic setting, and it's going to be first person with shooter and RPG elements. It seems like it's going to be a pretty big game. It's from the same developers that made The Witcher 3, and I personally didn't play The Witcher 3. I played it, but it just wasn't my type of game, and I just put it down. But if you have played The Witcher 3 or any other Witcher games in the series, you know how big and ambitious that the developers have for an open world. About a year ago, or maybe even a little less than that, there was a gameplay video released. It was a pretty big and lengthy gameplay video, and it covered a lot of things. In the video, we saw that it's going to have choice of dialogue, and throughout the story or throughout the missions that you go through, throughout the characters that you actually interact with, you're going to have options on how the different scenarios can play out, and those options will be able to affect the different scenarios that play when you're actually playing the game. For example, we was watching in a video that they posted on YouTube. If the main character had either grabbed a gun or did some other type of violent action from the other person that was holding a gun up to her, the next scene where she actually have to make a deal with these mobsters or whatnot to get this robot, it could have played out very differently. They could have had a firefight in the beginning of that scene, but instead she pretty much just went straight up to the boss himself, or the dealer who had the robot that she wanted, and they pretty much just made the trade. And some other things happened where it kind of reminds me of other games like Mass Effect that have this choice of dialogue option. And in Cyberpunk 2077, you have different. The world seems like it's comprised of a lot of technology, of course, since it's cyberpunk. And the interesting thing about this game is the technology that it seems that it's going to have integrated with just human nature. This is not the average world you see every day. It kind of mimics it, of course, but with all the technology and robots going around, it makes the world fresh and just shines a new light of just living. And maybe in the future, we'll probably be seeing stuff like this. There was a man who was boxing, but he was boxing a robot instead of an actual other person. At the beginning of the gameplay video, when I believe they rescued the main character from her being kidnapped or whatnot. When they rescued her, paramedics had showed up. All of them had guns with them, already aiming at the character that we are supposed to be playing with. And then one of the paramedics actually pulled out this suitcase with this box behind them. It just turned into a stretcher. It just like transformed into a stretcher. And then the paramedic is a flying vehicle. All the vehicles seem like they flying or whatnot. Besides the vehicle that you were actually, or at least who we supposed to be playing, the main character we was playing, in the gameplay video you saw that there are other types of vehicles that you can drive that mimic just realistic everyday life type of vehicles, which actually gets me to wonder how the vehicles are going to act in the game. You know, of course, just simple controls. Are they going to feel good to play in? But also, is there going to be vehicle combat? Are we going to be able to do like Grand Theft Auto style and have people in the passenger side shoot out the window? We can be able to shoot out the window. I don't believe we got too much depth up into that, but that's something that I actually want them to go forward more into E3 2019. If we get some type of gameplay video again. I also want to see them dive a little bit deeper into the RPG elements. For example, when the same gameplay video that we saw around almost a year ago, the main character, when they was inside of that when they went inside of that monster building almost towards the end to get the robot, you saw that the main character can have skills like engineering skills where you can open up different pathways that maybe if you don't have that skill you can't really do. Then there was another skill to where the main character had a pistol, and through their visor they can see an arrow with the actual trajectory of how the pistol would ricochet and bounce off a wall and hit someone who is behind cover. They also had like this Iron Man scanner where if you didn't know what an object was, or you was trying to figure out the components of the inside of it, since it's big technology based, the scanner would peer inside and pretty much give you all the details of this item. I am interested to see more of gameplay and more of what this world is about. Cyberpunk 2077 has been announced for a very long time. It was announced probably about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago probably. I could be totally wrong, but it was announced a very long time ago. And maybe we probably don't even get it this year. We probably won't even get it next year, but I am excited to see more about it. I am also curious as to around Sony has been censoring a lot of their games, and in one of the beginning scenes of the gameplay we saw that they posted, it was a lot of nudity, like just straight out of the gate. So I wonder how Sony is going to handle this. I wonder if Sony is going to actually censor some of the parts of this game. It seems like a very violent and a very mature game. So I am curious as to how Sony will go about that, but that's something that we can look forward to, or we can actually see once we get the product in our hands. So that's been another video. Are you excited for Cyberpunk 2077? Please leave a like, a comment what you want to see. If you're excited for the game, if you're not excited for the game, why? Click that subscribe button so you can get more future content from me, Point Blank J. And remember to stay tuned, FM tuned.